We're at Middle Island, off Warrnambool, and we're in the middle of a rookery, so we've got short-tailed shearwaters and little penguins living on this island.
It's quite unique to have a penguin colony this close to the mainland. We think that before white settlement that there were penguin colonies all over the coastlines, but since we introduced foxes and dogs and cats, all those mainland colonies have been wiped out except for ones that are on islands like this one or even further offshore. In 2005 we only had 4 penguins come up onto Middle Island. We didn't have any breeding birds that we could find, and that was because that year about 180 had been killed by foxes, and that had happened for a few years previous.
At low tide we've got a bit of a land bridge where people used to be able to go across, and of course foxes used to be able to go across at low tide. We've actually seen foxes swimming across to the island, so these foxes are quite adamant that they're going to get to the birds that are over on Middle Island. We'd had baiting, shooting, fumigation, things like that. While it helped control some of the foxes, it couldn't prevent them from getting across to the island. It's a pretty hard area to manage. You can't put a big fence up around it.
I was working for a local farmer while I was at uni, studying environmental science, and we're reading the paper, and there it was, 70-odd penguins killed by a fox attack, and Swampy remarked fairly quickly that all they needed was a couple of Maremmas on that island to sort the foxes out.
This is living proof of the fact that the idea works. We've been doing it for 10 years. The free-range egg industry in Australia would not exist without these dogs. And to the dogs, penguins are only chooks in dinner suits.
And they came to me with this, what I thought was a pretty wacky idea, was to put Maremma dogs that have long been used in Italy to protect goats and sheep, to protect penguins, little penguins. I really thought it was a pretty wacky idea.
This community member had used the dogs in an agricultural method, but we're just wondering, could it be converted into conservation management?
I knew that this worked here, and I could see that it would work out there. Shooting foxes is not a cost-effective way to do it. Having a $200 dog that only needs a pat on the head and a handful of dry food each day is a real cost-effective way to do it.
Come on then. Essentially the dogs bond with the land, with the area here, so this is their patch. Anyone who's usually here, so the penguins and the island residents, are normal, so their behaviour is normal, but if anyone new comes in, then the dogs sort of take interest in that, so they'll keep away people coming across from the island, or dogs and foxes.
They're born, bred as a guardian dog, but they're certainly trained. They've been out in the paddock with chooks since birth. Free-range chickens is what they're used for in the local area, and that's where we were able to source the dogs from.
We had a 1-month trial of one coming on, Oddball, and that seemed to work well. The penguins were already breeding at that stage, so we had small chicks and eggs. We only had 6 pairs breeding, but compared to the year before of none, that was fantastic.
The initial trial worked, and we're now into a longer 12-month trial using 2 dogs. It's coming back really strongly. We're up to sort of about 50 birds, I think was the last count, and that's good for this time of the year because they're just settling into their breeding pattern.
We've got some penguins breeding. We found about 9 burrows this year, so that's slightly higher, which is good, and we've got more penguins coming up at night through our arrival counts as well. So hopefully the colony will just gradually increase as long as we can keep the foxes away, and that's what the dogs are here for, and they seem to be doing a wonderful job.
The community really love this island. They use it all the time to take their friends to see the penguins arrive. Back in the days when there were large penguins there, they fish, they dive there, they swim, they sunbathe, they like the island. When we suggested we close it to the public, we expected a great outcry. I think it was something like 93% of the respondents to that survey said that they supported the closure of the island if it would protect the birds.
We wouldn't have gone ahead without that public support, essentially. The community's been great. They've been behind it from the start. The community ownership is probably the crucial ingredient to this. If you've got a good community and a good community support, you can do anything.
Having, I guess, the community come up with the idea, involved with the whole decision-making process, and also involved with the trial now, it's just been fantastic.